Going forward, probably going to be some people that aren't happy. There's going to be a lot of people that are. Let's see what happens. In New Swordland. Revolution. I think I am trying to do good for my people. Whether it's going to pay off or not, I'm not sure. We'll see. Okay. Let's have a look about what's happening. Benfleet Regional Airport overcrowded. We've been receiving reports about the capital of Benfleet Regional Airport. The Mayor of Benfleet is preparing to put a request forward for an investment to build an international airport in the city. Mainly for tourism. Okay. Do you know what it is? Like, do you know whenever someone asks for money to do something to expand, the first thing I'd always ask the question is, what can you improve to make it better? Because the systems aren't going to be very efficient. Improve the systems, improve efficiency, and then Bob's your auntie. You don't need all that investment. Massive network of BFF priests discovered. What? The Vice Minister of the Interior has reported the discovery of a large-scale underground network of the BFF, Bluish Freedom Front, that encompasses all cities in Berger. Under the guise of state-sanctioned priesthood, the BFF has recruited hundreds and possibly thousands of Nurity worshippers, including non-Bluish citizens, to support their cause for independence. Education in rural regions require improvements. Yeah, well, we've already put that in place. The current education institutions in rural regions of Swordland have been largely neglected. Yep, mate, I'm on it. I'm on it like a car bonnet. Don't worry about it. Workers' Rights Act. Oh, this will be interesting. Grand National Assembly of Republic of Swordland Workers' Rights Act. Section 1 establishes a minimum wage of 2.5 Swordish Ren per hour. Section 2 sets a weekly maximum of 60 hours of labour. Section 3 establishes a double overtime pay per hour after 40 a week. Section 4 determines that workers are to be protected against occupational hazards and provided humane work conditions. Section 5 establishes that migrant or undocumented workers have the same workers' rights as citizens. Yep, that's true. If any employer shall not abide by these rules, they will be heavily fined by the government. If not corrected, will face legal action. Shit, -1 government budget. And that's gonna be a problem. Didn't realise this would come up so fast. Right. As of this time, tell you why I'm torn about this. I'm vetoing this for now. I know it's going to be a controversial action, but our government budget we need to stick to. This can come later. See, I do agree that they need to be protected against occupational hazards and be provided humane work conditions. On the flip side, I can't risk government budget for this. Unfortunately, it's been vetoed. Cannot be having that at the minute. It's too soon. We've got other things we need to concentrate on. Maybe in the future, but not right now. Right, regional investment decision. Come on then, let's have a look at this. Gus Manja and Simon Hall have prepared an extensive regional investment package to revitalise one of the top 3 economically fragile regions. Oh, here we go. By boosting the municipality budget providing large sums of business grants and giving cheap loans to companies with liquidity problems. The proposal can be implemented in one of the following regions: Berger, Lorraine and Angland, Berger, Lorraine, Angland. Right, hold on. Lorraine, Berger, Angland. This is really fucking tough, this. I've been hit with all these bloody harsh decisions. I did not expect this. Now I do believe that this one is more important than the workers' rights for now. In my opinion, it would make sense to boost Angland simply because we're building the road there. That would make sense to me. Right, we're going to do that. We're going to boost Angland. We've done it. Right now we've got -1 budget, which is a problem. But because we're building the road there, we might as well have the economy of this boosted, and that can benefit all the regions on the new road, the new infrastructure. Okay, next. Budget allocation of law enforcement. I was in my office reading reports from the ministries about the current situation of the protests. My next scheduled meeting was about law enforcement budget with Nia and Lilius. I heard some knocks on the door. Nia entered and took a seat in front of my desk. Lilius was absent. Good afternoon, Mr. President. Lilius will be late. Apparently there was an urgent matter at the Ministry of the Interior she had to attend to. Shouldn't take long. What urgent matter? She said something about supply distribution for the police forces, nothing major. I returned to my report and Nia smoothed back an errant strand in her hair that was an awkward silence. While we wait, why don't we have a little chat? A chat about the so-called reform package. Sure, let's have a chat. You are repeating Saul's mistakes again. This is not what we were elected for. Times change, internal and external threats has to be eliminated. You don't agree with my decision. Was I not clear enough? She sighed. I keep thinking about it and I come to the same conclusion every time. There is no way I can get behind this. Don't forget that I have a vote in the court. Trust me, I'm doing all this for the well-being of Swordland. She opened her mouth to answer, but there was a knock at the door. Lilius Graff entered the room. I think she's going to be torn about this, because I think she can see we're doing good things. We've helped her out in the past. We haven't helped her out. We've took her side, and I think she can see that we're doing good things. I'm not sure. She's a 50-50 at the minute. Well, no, sorry, which was more like a 75-20, 75 in favour of fucking us off, 25% in favour of staying. Mr. President Nia, I hope that I'm not interrupting your conversation. No, not at all. We are just discussing a few things. Nia smiled at Lilius. I'm sorry for being late. There was an important matter at the ministry. Just a small dispute over who should get the supplies, nothing major. Lilius took the seat next to Nia as she continued talking. Well then, let's get straight in. We will provide a brief update on the situation of law enforcement. Go ahead. Nia? The Ministry of Justice and the Supreme Court is working in close collaboration with the Ministry of Interior to address the protests in the country. I must add that thanks to the hard work of the judiciary, the law enforcement forces assigned to my ministry are doing their jobs efficiently. Excellent. I would call it the success of our forces on the ground, not due to the judicial branch of our government. Lilius shot Nia a brief, withering glance before she continued. The current budget has damaged hopes of more funding in the force. Yet here we are, with mass protests happening in the country, we are standing exactly where we were before. The decisions made need to reflect the current situation of the country. This was certainly not the right decision when we are dealing with mass protests. Agreed. Many in the Ministry of Justice hope for an increase in we're not satisfied with the decision. Regardless, this means that we will have to deal with the growing court backlog. It is manageable, but it will be a challenge for sure. So what's the problem? It's manageable. It's a challenge. That's life, mate. Get on with it. I had to make sacrifices for the good of Swordland. These sacrifices might have very well damaged the structural integrity of Swordland. I highly disagree. That means to be seen, but the ripples are already being felt across the country. I hope this decision is not the beginning of something bad. A brief moment of deliberation passed. Lilius and Nia got up from their seats. Well then, I must now return to the ministry. Me too. As soon as the door closed, I could hear their muffled voices as they argued. An evening with Monica. It was early evening, still light out, with just a faint nip in the air. Frank was at a friend's and Dina was at art class. Monica and I decided to go out for a walk before dinner. Yeah! Our favourite place for a stroll was nearby Capitol Park, the largest green space in Holsword. Before the children were born, we had spent many an evening engaged in deep conversation along the riverside promenade. Another favoured path wound through the woods behind the presidential housing complex. I bet that was a fucking favourite place of yours, behind the woods behind the presidential housing. I see you, homie. To a private pond where the children could swim in the summer. I was told that Sol himself had built. The benefits of being a president. Monica met me by the door, and we put on our coats and hats. I was going to suggest we walk towards Sol Square, but the guards told me it's been closed for yet another protest. I wonder who they are protesting this time. What does it matter? They're two sides of the same coin. You always did believe yourself to be above the fray. Funny how becoming president changes one's perspective. In any case, where shall we go? I'm not sure Capitol Park is a wise idea in this climate either. You're right, it's not worth the security risk. Let's stay inside the gates. I agree, let's go then before the children get home. I informed the guards about our route and we left the house. The guards followed us at a discreet distance as we headed towards the walking trail. As we entered the woods, Monica broke the silence. So how was your day? Paperwork, endless meetings, the usual nightmare. I don't know, I imagine some might find that stimulating. I hope yours was better. Oh, it was fine. I caught up on some reading while the children were at school. Just outside the gate I glimpsed Ioannis Corona, the former Minister of Justice, walking towards Capitol Park. I remembered that Nia Morgana used to be his Vice Minister. He didn't seem to notice us as he walked by. Ioannis had once fought hard and strong against Sol's judiciary reforms, but after years of the government blocking his every move, he gave up on his ideals and became a part of the administration. Ioannis Corona. As we know, a couple of people called. Oh, he hasn't got a journal entry. Okay. What did our ideals really mean if they could be changed so easily? What about the people we idolise? Evelyn also came round for tea. She says hi. She was feeling rather low though. Apparently she and Peter had been in a bit of a disagreement. Peter's in the doghouse again. How did it happen? Apparently Peter had too much whiskey as usual and didn't behave when Evelyn's father was over for dinner yesterday. You know, Peter, what do you think of this? That's Peter, perpetually pickled. I'll have a talk with him. Good, Evelyn seemed close to tears. Aren't you glad you and I don't have these kinds of quarrels? Being married to a shrew like her, no, just slagging off his wife, no. Aren't you and I glad that we don't have those quarrels? Monica didn't say anything. We kept walking. Oof! Oof! I feel it inside my chest. That's painful, that, like. Bitch. Bitch, you be fucking with me, son. You know Evelyn hasn't been the same since what happened to her at Hullsword Post last year. What happened? You remember how she got fired for supporting Alfonso. Peter tried everything to get her job back, but it didn't work. A sad day for journalism and free speech in Scotland. I completely agree, a sad day indeed. But enough about the Vecturns. I also spoke to Janice on the phone. Who? You remember my friend from university? We were in the Swedish literature class together. A few years younger than me, red hair, scar on her forehead. We had dinner with her and her husband once or twice. Neither the name nor the description rang a bell. I still don't remember her, but go on. Anyway, she's been working as an executive assistant in the Violet Pictures film studio. She recently became pregnant and asked her boss for paid maternity leave, and guess what? She was fired for it. Oof. That is terrible. I know, I was beside myself when she told me, and that's not all. They immediately replaced her with a younger, less experienced man, the son of an executive no less. So she called the First Lady to ask for help. She called a friend. She knows there's something I'm passionate about. As it happens, another friend works for a television station that's hiring secretaries, so I connected the two of them. It didn't solve the deeper problem though. Exactly, I knew you'd be on the same page. Women in this country are still seen as wives and mothers first, human beings second. They're harassed at work, underpaid, blocked from positions of power, and those are the lucky ones. The fact that there are still places in this country where little girls like Dina are denied the right to an education. Yes, and I'll do what I can to change that. It can't just be you. These little girls or people like Janice need someone to speak to on their behalf. Someone to speak on their behalf. A role model, a successful woman. We had reached the pond at the end of the trail. A park bench overlooked the water. Monica gestured to it and we sat down. Which brings me to my point. I know that the mayor of Andrika, Curtin Lest, will be delivering a speech at the annual opening on the Benfey Festival. My wish is to take his place and deliver the speech instead. Whew. Power move. Lest was one of Scotland's most influential politicians. He had started his career in Benfey before rising to power in Andrika. Benfey's current mayor had personally invited him to make the opening speech. Replacing him with Monica would likely anger him, not enough to cause a major incident, but enough that he might not support me in the assembly. I want to base my speech on women's rights in Scotland, on the oppression and discrimination we face every day, on a basis of our sex alone. I want our voice heard, and the festival is the time to do it. I just need your blessings as my husband and the president of Scotland. Unfortunately, Monica, as much as that's fantastic as well, that speech isn't actually going to change anything. If anything, that speech without legislation is only going to cause more animosity within the country between men and women. So no, Monica's eyes were blazing with a fire I hadn't seen since we were students. She wanted this badly. But I had to be careful with my promises. Yeah, that's true. Does it have to be at the festival? Why can't you make a speech another time? It has to be now. Thousands go to the festival and millions watch the speeches at home. Scotland's women can't wait any longer. Absolutely not. It's out of the question. This time it's out of the question. We can't risk the bigger picture, because women's rights will come in time. But we need to make sure we're in a strong position before we start fighting for this. Nah, absolutely not out of the question. I don't understand. Isn't this something you care for as well? It's not the right time. Scotland is facing too much political strife. We have to deal with women's rights later. What little trouble this causes in the short term is nothing compared to the lasting positive change it will bring, not just for women, but for all of Scotland. I disagree. I don't think so. Monica went silent for a while. When she finally spoke, there was a chill in her voice. If that's truly how you feel, so be it. It is. Unfortunately, we walked back home, neither of us looking at the other. This is the thing. These are the tough decisions you're going to have. You're not going to get to please everybody, but we've got to be strategic. If we want to have the support, can't be treading on too many. We've already tread on a lot of toes. We can't be treading on them all, otherwise we're going to fuck the whole thing up. And then women's rights is going to be an imagination. a tiny dream in the back of everybody's minds that's going to be forgotten about. There's a time and a place, son. Okay, what's going on? The General Staff condemns the administration. The General Staff convened at Camp Strongarm. A session much longer than the usual concluded with a disastrous military analysis of Solon's field capabilities. Chief of the Armed Forces, Kruger, made a public press statement condemning the administration and its efforts to weaken the most important branch of government, the military. All staff generals co-signed the letter of condemnation to Reign administration, but we knew that was happening because I took their funding away. This is the thing, right? What I can't, like, why government will be so anyone stepping into a government, fucking, you have my best wishes, because it's an impossible role. You've got what people don't understand is there's finite resources, and there's always going to be branches like the military that think like, oh, we need this and that, right? Like, mate, we do need it. Don't have the fucking resources. And if you stay in a recession, if you can't get yourself out of it, then your military is going to be fucking washed away as well, because there's no money to support it. People aren't going to have good healthcare. There's going to be no education. You're not going to be able to get yourself out of. You're never going to get yourself out of that situation without sacrifices. So I disagree. I think you need to put your fucking dummies back in, put your toys back in the pram, and fucking sort your lives out. Your military, your hard blokes, work it out. Okay. BFF bombs police station. Ooh. This is trouble. We maintained the police budget. We're still getting bombed. Tax system. Oh, fucking hell, look at this. The workers are on strike. Thousands of railway construction workers from Taurus Holden went on strike at Lenkirk today, disrupting progress on the H3 highway project. The management board of Taurus reported that they have lost control. The workers, many of whom were wearing Labour union flags, petitioned for better working conditions and for a raise of the minimum wage. Dozens were seen holding slogans against the recent veto. Police have arrived on site to act if necessary. Kind of expected that, like. Right, come on, let's tackle this. The H3 highway construction created a second opportunity to visit the seaside town of Lenkirk, known for its salmon. Thousands of people from the city were employed for construction work by the new highway project. But the main purpose of our visit was to resolve the strike that began to endanger the deadline. The mayor welcomed us at his own mansion and praised us for our decision to extensively invest in the Anglan region. Dozens of people were outside the mansion grounds and chanting party slogans in a show of support. We gathered at the city hall. Simon looked a little worried, but Lilius was dead serious. There were also a message of support from the mayor of Orfrey, Eric Neal, who was grateful for the H3 investments. After dinner, we moved to a meeting room. Simon began. Strike that popped up at the construction site is causing issues. After the terrible Marble mine disaster, workers have been on the edge. Veto on the Workers' Rights Bill certainly did not help with the situation either. Strikers' primary demands is for the bill to be reinstated. We have to solve the issue or the construction will stay halted longer. We scheduled the construction to finish sooner, but Taurus Holden might miss the target with the current trajectory. The bill is necessary for the country, or people need to be compensated and have safety regulations. Listen, I fucking understand that, right? But there's a lot more in that bill than workers' rights, and we don't have the budget for it. I think you have the power to pass it, which could help solve the protest. Alternatively, we could wait it out and let them get back to work. We could replace the striking workers. Now this is a thing, right? This is... I am mixed on the issue, but I think if you sign a contract and you agree that contract at that price and then you change your mind and decide you want more money, fuck yourself. Go and fuck yourself. Nah, mate. You said you'd do this job for this money. Don't be asking for any more. Especially if you're workers. It's not as if they have to provide the materials. The company's doing it. These are workers working for the company. So it's not as if they're self-employed and then there was maybe a bit more money required for materials and things like that. Fair enough, I understand asking for more money for that, but no, nah. If you, I don't know, I think if you go on strike for things like that, I think you're a fucking arsehole. We could replace the striking workers. I'm going to take a firm stance on this. We can't stand idle, and we can't allow our stubbornness on laws to allow a few strikers to hold the construction. This will only serve to rile up the strikes even more. We might end up with a bigger mess. We need to show people that we can finish this project, our first mega project, on time. As much as I hate to say it, I think passing the Workers' Rights Bill might be our best bet. It will. It's just not the right time. It's so tough because the strikers are so, what's the word I'm looking for? They're only looking to the inside. They're not looking at the bigger picture. And sometimes you need to make an example of these people. We need to cut the head of the snake to truly stop the issue by replacing the strikers. Simple as that. You don't get this fucking job done, you're sacked. Making an example of the strikers is wrong. We need to tackle the root of the issue. One thing is for certain, our administration must avoid working with tourists in the future and opt for safe choices like SSC. Nah. Are you kidding me? You're saying you want us to work with SSC? SSC use immigrant workers, pay them fucking dog shit, and fucking their workers' rights are shit as well? It's contradictory. Mistakes happen in any project. Maybe, but we could have avoided this issue. There were warning signs around tourists all along. I disagree. What's your decision? How should we handle the strikes? I've made my decision. But I don't understand what is the negative connotation for losing the government budget. Now I've made my decision. Order the tourist holder to replace the strikers with new workers. This is going to have grave consequences, I do understand, but it can't happen again. Very well, hopefully the backlash doesn't affect us too much. Regardless, the decision is made. Well then, thank you for coming. This is all on this matter. Thank you everyone. Yeah, I'm sorry, like, you can't be doing that, like. This is where I think a speech would come into play. So yeah, we're working to a strict budget here, workers' rights will come. It's not the right time. I think maybe a better communication from the government would stop a lot of these things, but I don't know why it didn't really happen. Military equipment is outdated. The General Staff has performed an analysis of our borders to assess the military defence capabilities against potential Roomberg attack. The results show that our military equipment is outdated and needs replacement as soon as possible. Yeah, well, we guessed that. Alright, let's see what's going on the highway here. Discussion changes to the tax system. This is going to be very interesting. Let's see what our options are. We were at the top floor of the Business Council building, which had a great view of the beautiful Suzerain. I looked outside from the tall glass windows. The Markean Sea stretched as far as the eye could see, and it was dotted with many ships towards the horizon. They were mostly cargo ships carrying precious goods in and out of Swordland. Facing back the paths of the ships, I looked at the harbour. Suzerain was home to one of the largest harbours in the entire continent. Many dockyard workers were loading or unloading the containers. Work never stopped here. The door opened. Simon, Mikhail, Edith entered the meeting room. Mr. President, so nice to see you again. Good afternoon. It's great to see you all again. Simon put down his bag on the table and started collecting his documents while the others slowly took their seats. Mr. President, before we start, I would like to mention some rumours that I heard. Veto on the recent Workers' Rights Act was welcomed by a lot of business owners. The first section about the minimum wages would have been very damaging to many corporations. Mikhail, good, yeah. That's another thing I was thinking is like, I know at the moment I live in England and we've got minimum wage and stuff. I don't think minimum wage benefits. I don't think a minimum wage. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't think it benefits society in the long run. But it's okay. Like at the moment, I think we're saying like the minimum wage is going to be £10 to £12 for everyone within the next 5 to 10 years, something like that. But would it not have been that anyway with inflation? And if any business can only afford to pay low wages to their staff, they're gonna go out of business. It's what are people willing to work for? And you can't tell me that being let's just say a job is a newspaper wrapper. You put the straps on newspapers, but like a packaging. Can you tell me that a packaging worker, something that's so little skilled and everything, should be on the same wage as, I don't know, a machine operator? You know what I mean? Like, what it's going to do, it's going to dilute the market. And also the way things are going in England at the moment is with, for example, if I'm already on £10 an hour, I'm a machine operator or a team leader, I'm on £10 an hour. I've actually seen this happen. Not so much £10 an hour, but I know with my girlfriend, she worked really hard to move up bands in her work, and she was on the highest band you could get without progressing to where she'd need to go to university. And when they increased the minimum wage, she found that a lot of the girls that didn't put in this effort and were just happy to sit doing the basic shit ended up being on this, I think, 10 pence less than what she was on. Like, is that right? Is that not a slap in the face for anybody that's worked hard for what they can? And because of the current structures in companies, obviously it's a bad thing on both sides. Current structures aren't modern enough to reflect this rise in minimum wage every year. And while I do think it's good that people get more money, I think it has had an effect on businesses. I don't necessarily think businesses are always the devil in the room. I think that it's easy to make out that businesses are evil. I don't think they are necessarily. So anyway, with that being said, the section about minimum wage would have been very damaging to many corporations. I agree. I heard the same. A good decision, I'd say, especially during a recession. Yeah, of course. That's why it's time. It's got to be held on. The rumours. I wanted to sign it, but I had to make a call. Who's Edith? Oh yeah, now she is a potential ally. You've done the right thing. Simon waited patiently. Once everyone was ready, he adjusted his glasses. First of all, I would like to thank everyone here for their work on our tax system reform. We all know how complicated our current system is, and this work wouldn't be possible without you. He turned to me. The ultimate goal here is to end the recession. Before we move ahead and start formulating a plan, we need to determine our direction, Mr. President. We have few possibilities as a result of the work we've done so far. We can increase, maintain, or decrease the taxes for large corporations. I believe some of us in the room have a few strong opinions about this. Yes, I will agree. I think you will. You want reduced taxes for large corporations. In parallel, we can increase, maintain, or decrease the taxes for small and medium businesses. Let's start with the large corporations, and we'll move on to small businesses. What is the outcome if we increase the taxes for large corporations? It's not an option at this point. Our economy is in shambles. Taking what's remaining from the businesses will destroy the economy further. We could balance it by decreasing taxes on small businesses to put some relief on them. I see. I'm not sure if that's a good idea with the current state of the economy. Okay, yeah. I think, yeah. I do believe there's one way to get out of the recession. Come on then, Edith. It's through the trade and the economic contribution of large corporations. Increasing their taxes will turn them on you. And that is, I'm very aware of that. I will go a step further. Increasing the taxes will have a disastrous result. It will make you an enemy of them. Trust me, Mr. President. Nobody wants to make an enemy of them. Maybe you are right. What if we decrease the taxes for large corporations? It's not an option at this point. Our state is broke. Yeah. We are barely functional with the help of the taxes. What about balancing it with small businesses? I think that's going to affect small businesses. Well, Edith obviously thinks that's a great idea because then it's less competition for her. Me too. You would have them on your good side. You would have them on your good side on top of solving the recession crisis, Mr. President. I do agree being the ally would come in handy. Is there any downside to keeping things the way they are? I'm of the opinion that if we don't make any changes, nothing will change. To stop the recession, we need to do something. I think so too. Agreed. What does everyone think we should do? I don't think we could do anything at this point, although I would have preferred the decrease in taxes. It doesn't seem possible. Our international trade is driven mostly by the products of these corporations. They are the backbone of our economy. Exactly, and an increase should be out of the question. These companies are the backbone of our economy and a way out of the recession. I'm ready to make a decision. This is tricky. Right. Increase the taxes for larger corporations and balance it with decrease for small businesses. Fuck. Right, I'm here to make a decision. It's gonna be wrong. It's not gonna be wrong. It's gonna be tough. It's not what I would like ideally. I'm gonna have to decrease the taxes on large corporations and balance the budget with an increase for smaller businesses. And the reason why I'm doing this is I want more bigger businesses to want to come to us and set up shop here. Bang. Done it. An excellent decision. I agree. Thanks to this, the recession will be solved in no time. Well, that's to be seen. I think this will actually have a negative effect on our economy. People will suffer, but anyway. Well then. Well, Simon, you're flip-flopping. We're going to have to see. Well then, I've taken a note of our action and will put it to implementation as soon as possible. We will be increasing taxes for smaller businesses and there will be a tax break for large corporations. This will drain a lot from the smaller businesses to balance the state budget. Simon organised a stack of papers he had in front and placed them back into his briefcase. Well then, thank you everyone. It will be all for today. Good work. He left the meeting room. I decided to stay a bit longer. I went by the window again to keep watching the sea in silence for some more time. Oh. Right, we're going to cop some shit for this. In order to end the recession, the administration has announced new changes to the tax system. As for the information provided by the Ministry of Economy, the new changes include a tax increase of 10%, bringing the total to 45% for small and medium corporations. President Rain has approved the tax reform and changes are expected to come into effect immediately. Workers' rights denied. Tax cuts for large corporations on its way. So it went either way. Yeah, so that went to 45 and this went to 25. It was at 35%. Smolak threatens new military incursions targeting BFF. The Bluedish Freedom Front. Right, what's next here? Queen Beatrice Livingston calls Swordland a threat to world peace. Oh, shit. So they're escalating. She appeared on TV to call Swordland not just a threat to peace in Eastern Mercopa, but a threat to peace in the entire world. She condemned the riots and police violence in Swordland, also expressing her worries about the direction Swordland is headed. She urged Roomburgian army to secure the southern border, citing violent incidents in northern Swordland. Big issues here. Agnolia offshore drilling near Hazy Island increased tensions. Yeah, we knew that was going to happen towards the island. Visit and inspection of schools in Liren. Visit and inspection of schools. Now this should be... we should get to see what our choices on the increasing the education budget. As part of the planned programme, we arrived in Liren to visit the middle school. The prestigious Torin Hill School was situated close to the suburbs, just outside the city centre. The building was flanked by 2 hills, each beautifully dotted with shrubs and flowers. Lucian, Ciara and I got out of our cars and met at the entrance. Our presence had not gone unnoticed. Apart from our guards, there was at least 10 reporters following us around. That must be the principal right this way, sir. The principal was a man of short stature with a bushy moustache and a pair of glasses. He approached us quickly, but was stopped by the security guards. They started patting him down and searching him. That won't be necessary. Let him through. Mr. President, such an honour to meet you. Shake his hand and smile for the cameras. Shake his hand. Let's forget the cameras are there. Welcome to our humble school. Sorry about the security guards, it's a necessity. It's good to be here. Excellent, you must be Mr. Gallard. It's a pleasure to meet you. And Miss Walder, so good of you to come all the way out here. Thank you. At the entrance, the school's motto was inscribed on the wall in giant letters. Insteren sis Anginikar av Grekana Int Ola Algama Waltanani Int Ola Maxis, whatever the fuck that means. Education is the premise of progress in all societies, in all families. We walked through the gates. There was many students lined up in front of the stairs of the main building. The school band started playing as we entered. All of the students immediately snapped to attention and turned to me. Looks like a military institution than a school. Exactly. That's what we pride ourselves on. Discipline has the utmost importance in our school. I agree. Very good. Ciara frowned and shook her head. Glad you liked it, Mr. President. Now, we will watch the students take their daily student oath. A boy and a girl went up at the stage and grabbed their microphones. The students turned to them. I am sword. I am a sword. My strength lies in my blood. I will respect our honourable elders. I will protect the young. My life begins to Swordland now, and it will belong to it forever. I will always follow the guiding light of Colonel Sol and the great swords. Ooh. Amorna West Corps, Vecturn sister. Nod at the kids. I almost forgot the words, which proves the uselessness of this oath. No one even remembers it after they graduate. If you wish to follow me, we will take a look at one of our classrooms. Through the hallways we made our way to the classroom 7A. As soon as I entered, the whole classroom rose up and snapped to attention. At ease. Sit down, please. The students sat down. The same boy and girl walked up to us. These are our top students and our top class. This here is my son. The boy came before me and saluted like a military officer. Tell Mr. President what you want to be. I want to be a general, sir. I am ready to sacrifice myself for my country and for you, sir. I will do whatever I can and not let that happen. Thank you, sir. The principal squeezed his son's shoulders and the boy looked up and smiled to his father. He patted him on the back and sent him off to his seat. Cameras flashed. This is simply ridiculous. You are raising soldiers here, not students. I am so sorry. I will immediately perform disciplinary actions. How about you, young lady? What do you think about this? She is our top student in this school. Her excellent grades are too. I didn't ask you. She bent down and gently addressed the young student. What do you think about your school? Just between us girls. I'm sick of having to knit and sew while the boys learn science and chemistry. I am smarter than all of them. Why do I have to take these stupid handcraft lessons? Shh. Do you know who you're talking? Shut up, let her speak. Yara's presence had emboldened the girls. She went on. My math and reading scores are the best in the school, but they won't let me take the classes I want just because I'm a girl. I want to be a scientist, not a soldier's wife. Oof, I agree, fucking hell. This is brutal, I like it. We need more people like you in this country. I applaud your determination. We need more than words, we need action. Concrete action. We need to protect girls like this. The cameras flashed once again. I looked around the classroom and saw a large portrait of Colonel Sol. Take that down. But sir, that's a portrait of Colonel Sol. We can't just take it down. Lucian, do it. Lucian took the frame down and gave it to the principal. Even the reporters looked confused for a minute before taking many photos of the portrait being taken down. Sierra was smiling, and when she realised I was looking at her, she nodded. Well then, unfortunately we are almost out of time. We have other meetings to attend to today. Thank you for the warm welcome. Mr. President, Lucian, please go ahead. I would like to speak with the girl alone. Lucian, let's leave. Thank you for visiting our school, sir. Come on, class. 1, 2. All students in the classroom yelled, but the boy whom I met was the loudest. Amogna West Corps. Return, sister. After another round of photos, we departed. Yeah, I think we can't constantly look to this Sol guy. Times have changed. Briefing on the proposal of education reform, this will be exciting. We were still in Leerin, staying at the modest guest house for state employees. Sierra set up a meeting with me and Lucian to go over her plans for education reform after the school visit. Lucian was seated across from the table, going through the documents. Sierra entered the room. After the visit yesterday, I couldn't even sleep thinking about that little boy and girl. I've never been more sure of my intentions to reform our education system. Lucian took off his reading glasses and put it on the table. I agree, an educational reform is necessary. Exactly. Those students have to repeat the same soulless propaganda every single day. They are being brainwashed at an age when their minds need to be free. On top of that, young girls are denied the same opportunity as boys. They're forced into the role of housewife before they even reach puberty. Nothing has changed since I went to school. Women like me, Lilias, Nia, even your wife, we had to study twice as hard to receive the same university education that you and Lucian took for granted. It's that kind of country you want your daughter to grow up. Is that the type of country you want your daughter to grow up in? Mr. President, we need big change. We need to free the minds of these young people. They are our future. Very well, what do we need to do for an education reform? We need to keep politics out of the curriculum. Sol should only be viewed as a historical figure. Exactly. Children shouldn't have to repeat his name every day. This is actively poisoning young bright minds. Instead of thinking for themselves, they're learning to take things at face value. We also need to ensure boys and girls receive the same instruction. Handcrafts like knitting and sewing should be taught to both sexes or not at all. Swordsman's youth must be technically skilled and capable for the next decade. This won't be possible with the amount of nationalistic indoctrination and narrow-minded thinking found in schools today. Either we raise a generation ready for the challenges of the future or not. What will it be, Mr. President? I already know what I'm doing. Reform the education system. You will not regret it. I will get to work immediately. Now that decision was made, let's move on. Very well. Sierra skimmed over her documents before continuing. After the budget increase, the ministry quickly began formulating plans on how to effectively use the money. But before moving forward, the question of keeping education fully state funded or allowing for new private school remains open. Tell us about the benefits of allowing private schools. I do like the idea of allowing private schools. It should free up some money for us while allowing people wealthy enough to go to private schools, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I've made my opinion clear, I'm against it, but it would give us additional funds for education while increasing competition. It would support our overall economic strategy for promoting market economy. A few minutes of deliberation passed. We have enough money to improve education in Swordsland. We do not need to complicate things further with the privatisation incentive. So what's the decision? Right. Right. I'm torn. Another issue with allowing private schools is that their curriculum will be different, but at the same time, I don't know. I'm going with the privatisation route. It's allow more funds, and it's gonna. I do believe it will improve the quality. I think having everything just with the state is problematic. Will do. That should be it for now. I'll get to work and report back later. This has been a very productive day. I will be returning to Holsword. Thank you for your time. We dispersed after spending nearly the entire day together. I took a moment to simply breathe. Fresh evening air of Suzerain. I felt calmer here, somehow, but I would have to return to the chaos of Holsword soon enough. I know, it's like, we have good days, don't we? Where things seem to go well. We seem to be making progress. Government budget has increased. Oh, nice. So by doing that, we're out of the negative. Good. I think we've made a good decision there. It's drawn more funds for us. Happy days. Okay. It's a fine balancing act, this. Now, what is this? Right, what we'll do is we'll read these reports, then we'll call it an episode, and we'll do the meeting with Gloria Tory. Now, the meeting with Gloria Tory is going to be a pivotal point because we need her on our side to try and get the 2/3 majority. Ministry of Education has started to work on education reform. It's reporting that she's begun working on the approved education reform. The details of the education reform will be finalised over the upcoming months. If the reform package is accepted, the next step of this process would be to discuss the indoctrination of education. United Contana launches second satellite. Intelligence reports that the United Contana has successfully launched a second satellite which has the capability of radio communications. This means that United Contana radio communication will be able to be transmitted through a satellite for the first time ever, technology that no other country currently possesses. Very, very interesting. They're quite technologically advanced on that front anyway. Great. It might be worth, even though they don't have the same values as us, we could ally ourselves with them because they're quite advanced. Then again, not necessarily. Not always the most advanced countries come up with certain things. It just depends where they've put their money and budget and spending into. Okay, lads, we shall call it an episode here. Have a quick look at the news. Visit school in Lear, and let's see what this says. One of the 5 most prestigious schools welcomed the special visitors. Rain brings Sol's portrait down. A bold move brought down from the walls of the school, increasing doubt about his loyalty to his party and founder. Many nationalists and moderates, many of which also voted for Rain, have raised their concerns about President Rain's actions and criticised him for trying to erase Sol's identity. Well, we need change. Can't live in the past. I'm the man now. Rain's Reform Committee is all talk, no action. The People's Freedom and Justice Party, well, we don't like these anyways, Franz Richter, has said President Rain will not be able to keep ruling the country without addressing laws that have negatively affected our democracy. freedoms and economy. He blamed President Rain for not being open to any discussion about proper democratic reforms. He also criticised the National Front leader for supporting President Rain. We're already not included in every step of the process, but the final direction of the committee showed us that the People's Freedom for Justice Party cannot even be a part of this collaboration anymore. Well, too bad. Too bad, bro. Right, lads. Hope you enjoyed the episode. I'm not entirely sure that we're going to get this 2/3 majority. I think I haven't put enough thought into gaining allies than I have making the country a better place. And that's the balancing act. You've got to have allies. I've tried to do this because out of interest for me. I've tried to do this without corruption. I've tried to see if we can make a change legitimately. You know what I mean? Because what I think can happen is you can gain illegitimate allies. What I mean by illegitimate is allies that are only doing it for what they can get from it, not with what they believe in. For example, with larger companies, they only want the monetary gain. They don't give a fuck about politics, only if it benefits them. They don't really want the country to change as long as they're benefiting. I wanted to see if we could raise the country up without any outside interference, and do it with a good, clean conscience. But I am skeptical because I don't necessarily think that is possible. Not in the world we live in today. Corruption's too easy. When something's easy, it's going to derail whatever you're trying to do. But we'll see. There's positives and negatives. I think I am in a strong position. I think if people can see what I'm doing with the healthcare and education, they will come around. Okay, lads. See you in the next one.